Okay, so there's this real simple joy, right? Just taking your RC car out, maybe an old Tamiya buggy or, a big modern Arma truck, and just bashing around to the park or the backyard. Total freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just pure fun, no rules.
But then, for people who kind of want
Mm.
more, something beyond just driving around solo. There's this whole other world, the RC club scene.
That's it, exactly. And that transition, well, that's what we're diving into today. Think of this as your shortcut guide, moving from that casual bashing to actually competing confidently. We're focusing on what really changes when you leave that open field behind.
All right, so I'm used to just finding a spot and driving. What's the fundamental difference with a club? Like, what are the core pieces?
You can really break it down into three main pillars. First, you've got the community.
Okay.
These clubs, they're usually volunteer-driven, often nonprofits like 501c3s if you're in the U.S. They really focus on a family vibe, and everyone pitches in, volunteering for track maintenance, that kind of thing. Builds a sense of ownership.
So it's not just paying for a place to drive. It's more like a co-op, almost.
Yeah.
Where everyone looks out for the place, keeps it safe.
Precisely. Which leads to the second pillar, the facility. You get a purpose-built track, it's controlled, it's safe, no worrying about pedestrians or, hitting a hidden rock.
And they have specific stuff there, right?
Yeah, key things like the elevated driver's stand. That gives you that crucial bird's eye view for racing strategy. Then there's the pit area, super important, usually with power outlets, maybe an air compressor for cleaning your car, and critically, the electronic lap counting systems. Little transponders on your car tracked every lap perfectly.
Okay, transponders, pit areas. Sounds serious.
Well, that's the third pillar, structure. You've got bylaws, race rules. It turns casual driving into, well, basically a recognized sport.
Structure. That sounds a bit restrictive, especially if you're just used to a ready-to-run truck and having fun. Why trade that freedom for rules and volunteering?
But that's structure. It forces you onto a much faster learning curve. You stop just, driving and you start getting into the art of the setup.
The setup, what does that really mean?
It means learning how tiny adjustments, things like changing the thickness, the viscosity of your shock oil, or tweaking suspension geometry like camber and toe angles on your wheels, how those small things make a huge difference in how the car handles on that specific track.
Whoa, hang on. Shock oil viscosity, camber. That sounds incredibly complicated. If I'm just coming from a basic RTR, is that really step one? Sounds like it could take ages to figure out.
It definitely would if you were totally on your own. But that's where the club structure, that community pillar, really pays off. The pit area, it's like a living library of expertise.
Yep.
You get instant mentorship. You've got seasoned racers right there, people who've already figured this stuff out. They're usually happy to share tips, look at your car, maybe even share their setup sheets. It cuts that learning curve down dramatically. Someone's struggling with grip. Someone else has probably solved that exact problem.
Right, okay. That makes sense. You're not reinventing the wheel. Yeah. So clubs have all sorts of cars, yeah. Little buggies, big monster trucks.
How do they make races fair? Seems like a massive 18-scale truck would just dominate a smaller 110-scale one.
And that's where the class system comes in. It's honestly a brilliant idea. It groups vehicles together based on key spec scale, usually power source like electric or nitro, maybe drivetrain like 2WD versus 4WD.
Oh, okay.
The whole point is fairness. To make sure winning is more about your driving skill and how well you've tuned your car within those class rules, not just who showed up with the biggest, fastest, most expensive machine. You've avoided those total mismatches like that giant 4WD buggy racing a little beginner's 2WD truck.
So for someone listening who's thinking, okay, maybe I do want to try this, what's the easiest way in, the best starting point? Yeah, good question. There are really two perfect on-ramps. First is the rookie or novice class. The rules here are usually pretty relaxed. It's less about hardcore competition and more about just learning race day procedures, track etiquette, and honestly, just finishing your laps without crashing too much. Low pressure.
Okay, that sounds manageable. What's the other option?
The other great way is a spec or control class. This is where everyone has to run the exact same chassis, maybe the same motor too. Think of things like Traxxas/spec racing or those Tamiya Euro truck classes.
So the equipment is identical.
Exactly. When everyone's got the same gear, it really comes down to pure driving ability and maybe some very subtle tuning allowed by the rules. It's all about the driver.
Gotcha. Okay, let's picture race day. You mentioned qualifying and mains. How does that work?
Right. So typically you'll run a few qualifying heats. Here, you're basically racing against the clock, trying to set your fastest laps. Your results in qualifying determine where you start in the main.
And the mains are the actual race.
Yeah, the mains are the head-to-head race for the win in your class. Grid start, first one across the line after a set time wins. But there's one rule that trumps almost everything else for a newcomer.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Marshalling. This is absolutely crucial, non-negotiable, really.
Marshalling, you mean?
Right after your race heat finishes, you must immediately go out onto the track safely, of course, and be a marshal for the next race. Your job is to flip over any crashed cars quickly so they can get going again.
Ah, okay, so everyone takes a turn helping out.
It's the social contract. It's what makes organized racing possible. Seriously, if you want to earn respect fast, be a good, quick marshal. If you skip out on marshaling, well, you might find folks aren't quite so helpful when your car flips over later.
Point taken. And driving etiquette. Bumping and crashing.
RC racing is meant to be a non-contact sport, mostly. If you're a slower car and about to be lapped by a leader, the courteous thing is to hold a steady, predictable line. Let the faster car find a safe way past. The faster driver, in turn, needs to be a bit patient and make a clean pass. Intentional bumping is a big no-no.
So pulling it all together, joining a club isn't just about racing. It's this mix of community, learning technical skills, and the structure of actual sport. It takes that fun solo bashing and turns it into something shared and competitive.
Absolutely. And maybe one final thought for anyone thinking about stepping onto that driver's stand for the first time. When you do, focus on consistency, maybe even more than raw speed.
Consistency over speed.
Yeah, racers learn this fast.
Rem-
Sometimes slow is fast. Putting in clean, mistake-free laps one after another, especially under pressure, that's often way more important for actually winning a race than just having the single fastest lap time mixed in with a bunch of crashes.
Yeah.
Nail that consistency first. That's your foundation.